This episode of the Local Hustlers podcast is brought to you by Audible. If you're listening to this podcast right now, then I'm going to assume that you would also enjoy listening to audiobooks. Whether you're interested in business, history, comedy, science fiction, or romance, Audible has thousands of titles for you to choose from. We want you to try out Audible for free, so if you head to our link, you'll get a 30-day free trial and a free book. So go to audibletrial.com/localhustlerspodcast to redeem your trial today. Again, that's Audible, AUDIBLE, trial.com/localhustlerspodcast.
You're listening to the Local Hustlers Podcast, your go-to source for connecting with small businesses and entrepreneurs in the East Valley. Get ready to be inspired by local entrepreneurs as they share their stories, mindset, best tips, and advice. And now, your co-hosts, Dallin and Eric Huso.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Local Hustlers Podcast. This week, we're super excited to be here with Jorge Aragon-Sierra with Universal Healing and Wellness. How's it going, Jorge?
Good, brother. Good to be here.
Yeah, no,
Glad to have you.
Excited to have you, learn more about you and the business. Before we do so, take a couple minutes and just give us a little background on your life.
Okay, a little background about me. So I was born in Mexico. My whole family's from Mexico, except for my little brother. He's the only one U.S. born. And we moved here to Arizona when I was about 9 years old. But as soon as I moved here, being Mexican, we played a lot of soccer. But for me, I wasn't so good with the ball. I had a lot of endurance. So from soccer, I moved on to track and field, cross country. All through high school, I was a runner and got a lot of medals for that. But by the time I got through high school, I was like, okay, that's enough of track. And I had just really gotten into CrossFit. So once I started CrossFit, I was like, I want to get stronger. And it was a bit of an ego thing. I wanted, if somebody was faster than me, I wanted to be stronger than them. Yeah. But if they were stronger, I wanted to be faster or run further. So I really got into CrossFit, competing for about 5 years, made it to the regional level.
Wow.
And after that, I kind of decided that I had had enough of kind of being supported a lot by my parents as a young athlete, and I wanted to start building my own career. I got a lucky opportunity to put a fitness studio inside my mom's office. She's a doctor, and I had just graduated from ASU with exercise and wellness. And when I graduated, I was really all focused on sport performance. I got to coach at ASU with the sport performance team. So I coached the wrestling team, volleyball, women's soccer, basketball, all the teams for sport performance. And from there, once I graduated, got the job opportunity from my mom, everything changed. I got into weight loss and helping people who were really sick, unmotivated, and it was just a completely different situation. I stopped competing, so I stopped training a lot, and within a year I was really burnt out. I didn't enjoy it anymore. I lost all my passion for fitness, and I was at a point where I couldn't sleep at night. I don't know what it was. I just didn't really, I couldn't get good rest, but during the day I also just couldn't stay awake. And when I did want to work out, I just had low energy. I wanted to stop after 20 minutes, and I would cramp up if I tried to lift too heavy. So I was at this burnt out point, and luckily, pretty recently before that, my mom had gotten into red light therapy, and she brought one of the best machines into her clinic. From there, I started to use it, and it completely transformed my energy levels, completely transformed how I felt, my rest. And when we realized that, I was able to put it together with the fitness studio. And long story short, had a whole evolution of the business, which now has brought us to being here and helping people with pain relief, energy levels, weight loss, all with some simple, I call it simple because it's easy to use, but it's really intricate biophysics technology and has a lot of benefits. Every day we're blown away by the results people get for their healing. So that's long story, as short as I can make it.
No, it's a great story. Talk to me a little bit about your time at ASU and in the exercise wellness. It's a great department, great field. So your focus was on sport performance. What were some of the principles of sport performance that have stayed with you, kind of some of those golden nuggets, and have universal application that somebody who is experiencing a lack of performance in their business potentially, some of those carryover universal principles that you learn from sport performance that would carry over into overall life performance?
Gosh, with sport performance, there's so much that can be said. But I would say some of the things that still carry over to me is that training is meant to be a support for your sport, right? So like in CrossFit, where I really spent most of my time competing and trying to improve my performance, the sport is the same as the training. Mm-hmm. Whereas in actual sport performance with other sports like basketball, wrestling, volleyball, those sports need support from training. Like, so the goal is to make you stronger for the sport and to make you faster for the sport. Whereas CrossFit, the way that a lot of people train these days don't really have a sport. They're just training like athletes. So the reason I bring that up is I recommend that people have a goal, right? Have an actual aim that they can plan for. Because if you're just working out super hard for the workout, pretty soon you'll end up either getting burnt out or getting injured. And I learned this early in my sport performance career, is that the athletes who go the furthest are the ones who can go longest without quitting or getting injured. So, have a goal and be strategic with your training, not just doing whatever you can because you can.
Love it. Yeah, and I think that relates to business owners as well, the ones that go the furthest and see the most success, the ones that never give up and don't quit when things get rough.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great application there.
And then you just mentioned burnout as a thing with athletes, and you talked about maybe a bit of burnout that you experienced with a fitness studio. What was the reason for you burning out on something that seemed to be such a big passion for such a big part of your life?
Great question. It really was my passion. I thought that I was going to spend my whole life just working out. Honestly, and teaching people.
Pay you to work out, why not?
yeah. I mean, that's what I wanted. But when, I realized that that just wasn't going to be paying any bills for me, that I basically let it all go completely. So rather than keeping a base level of it, I went from training 4 to 6 hours a day as a competitor to maybe 4 hours a week at most. And I totally left the community that had helped me evolve and become the best athlete I could be. I'd left the community that helped me be the best coach I could be. And I tried to do it all on my own. And I didn't keep the same habits, the same lifestyle. So, I lost the base of what had built me for so long. And I would say if anybody's thinking about letting go of their sport or letting go of a passion and a hobby for business or career, to just not completely let it go, to maintain connection with their community, maintain some of those habits that got them to where they are now, because the worst thing you can do is say none of it mattered and let it all go. So that was my experience with burnout. And in the end, it was the technology that we have now which helped me regain my energy and find a new passion. So if you're burnt out, also, find something new.
Cool. Why did you decide to start a fitness studio in the first place? Was that always maybe a goal of yours to own a business relative to your passion?
No, actually, I grew up my whole life saying I'm never going to be a businessman.
Really?
And I just thought it was too good of an opportunity to pass up. to put a fitness studio inside of a doctor's office. I just thought, like, when else am I going to get that? Like, what other doctor is going to let me do that and let me do it my way? And if I passed it up, would my mom have someone else come do it? And I was like, I can't let that happen. So I jumped into it with no idea how to really get it going. I thought the first thing I had to do was work on my website, so I spent like a week trying to build a website and still didn't have anything coming in, so it was a big leap of faith starting the fitness studio. I had been offered by other people to take over their gym, and even then I was like, no, I don't want to do that. But for this opportunity with my family, I think was the thing, and being able to have my own way of doing it, I think that was what attracted me most. And I had to go through the ringer to be able to maintain that.
Yeah. We talked about like the website. I'm sure there are a couple things that you wish you would have done differently. Starting off, were there any mistakes that you made that come to mind when you did get started with that now with your new business that you've been able to learn from and make adjustments with? Mistakes.
Right now, I'm kind of drawing a blank on mistakes, but I can tell you lessons that I've learned recently. One cool thing for me is that we started to give more free sessions away, and I realized that the more free sessions I was giving, actually the more income I was getting as well. So to me, that is an interesting lesson on giving back, right? Focus on really giving the value and bringing the truth and bringing results to people, and from there you will get back in return. But you've got to have a business plan too, right? Not just give everything for free, but know where to give, where you can give, I guess, and do it without being afraid.
Where do you find that balance of giving and showing it forward, showing that gratitude, but also not, letting people take advantage of you and giving too much where you're not making the money that you need to make?
That's a good question, because I'm not 100% on that. I would say that give as much as you can, but give as much as you can of one thing. Yeah. Right? Like, we give the one free light therapy session, and that's something that I know people feel amazing result or benefit from almost right away. And from there, try to just see what people want, right? And from there, see what else you can give and what else they're kind of willing to give back. So, like, start with that small thing and then just create a conversation. As a business, you got to have, how much you're charging for your services and whatnot, especially if you're starting small. Yeah. But yeah, does that answer that question?
No, I love that. You talked a bit about the red light therapy, and that was kind of like the beginning of the change from the fitness studio to what you're doing now. Could you maybe, because I don't really know what red light therapy is, so do you want to dive into that a bit and explain kind of what it does, what exactly it is?
Sure. Would love to. So I explain red light therapy in 3 basic ways to anybody who hasn't really experienced it before. Yeah. And that's number 1. It's like we figured out human photosynthesis, okay? So our cells have this engine that's called the mitochondria. And the mitochondria create energy for every single function of our bodies. And as we get older, or as we get injured or sick or overweight or not active enough or too active, the mitochondria can start to not function as good as they used to. So red light therapy actually delivers electrical energy to the mitochondria, which they can take and use to make more ATP for the cells, for the whole body's function. So it's like human photosynthesis, it's energy. The second thing is it's a signal for our body. So a lot of people have heard of blue lights, to block blue lights at night because it doesn't let you sleep. And that's because blue light is a signal to our bodies to stop making melatonin or to not make melatonin. So red light is a signal to our bodies to reduce inflammation, to regenerate and create new cells, to block pain signals. So that's the second thing. First, the energy. Second, the signal. And the third is antioxidation. So we always think of vitamins as being antioxidants, but if you can just imagine, our cells get rust inside of them. And like I said before, as we get older or sick or overweight, less active, too active, stressed, so that rust builds up in our cells. And I just envision the red light therapy just washing away, like a power washer, washing away the rust inside of our cells. So that's the three main ways that it helps. And what that means in terms of benefits is people get relief from pain that they've had for decades, or heal really quickly from injuries that just happened. Athletes who are trying to actually get stronger or gain more endurance or lose a little more body fat, their results are enhanced by using the red light therapy. So there's a lot of benefits. Longevity, skin related, mood, focus, like so many different things. And luckily my mom is the one that discovered it, and she knew it would be good for her patients, but also good for herself. And that's where it began. Like, we started to see the benefits in her, and then it was a cascade of like everybody else can benefit from this too.
Cool. You say your mom discovered it. Like, no one else is doing this?
No, there's a few places doing it. There are definitely a few. So when I say my mom discovered it, actually, I had been into like cryotherapy. I'm sure, right? Yeah. That's kind of a little more well known, right? There's been a lot more marketing behind that up until now. And I remember that I got into cryo because I thought it was going to help me get better at my sport. I thought it was going to help me recover. And I was actually at my last major CrossFit competition. I went to a cryotherapy place out in Utah where the competition was. My mom was there with me. And as I was in the freezing chamber, my mom was talking to the owner of the place, and he had talked to her about red light therapy. And they had it in a little closet-like place with panels on the walls. And when she understood what it was doing, kind of how I've explained to you guys, she was like, if that really works, Jorge, you need to do that. Yeah. So I went and got in that, and the next day it was my best performance of the whole weekend of competition. It was at the last day where everybody's beat up and destroyed. I felt good. So that was my best day. And from there, considering like what I would do with my career, my mom knew that she needed to do something for her own pain. And they had been doing cryotherapy, and it didn't really help that much. It was really uncomfortable. And as she looked into science and looked at research, cryotherapy had like 2 studies that were questionable about the actual evidence of benefits, whereas red light therapy had thousands of positive studies. And she was like, Jorge, are you going to help me build this thing? Are you going to help us like make this grow in the community? And I said, yes, I'll take on that challenge. So she brought that in, and for her, the results were super quick. Her knee pain went away, her energy, she got back. She lost 20 pounds in like 2 months without trying to. And unfortunately, I wasn't really using it because I was like, I'm not an athlete anymore. I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm not in pain. So why am I going to use it? It wasn't until I got to that burnout position where I started to use it and discovered for myself how powerful it was.
Gotcha. Cool.
Couple questions on the red light therapy. So, are there different grades of lasers? You mentioned that your mom has one of the best ones, and are there different? Do the different grades of lasers do different things? Like you mentioned, the 3 things: the human photosynthesis and the signaling to the body and antioxidation. you mentioned helps with weight loss, helps with recovery. Are there different, I guess, would it be wavelengths of the light that work on different things? So depending on what the client is in need of, you would adjust the intensity or the spectrum of light. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So red light therapy is, red light is a specific wavelength of light. You mentioned wavelengths, and there's only a certain visible amount of visible light that like we can see, right? Blue light, green light, purple, yellow, orange, red. So those are all visible to us, and they all have different signals. Now, red light therapy is a machine that has harnessed a specific wavelength of light and maintains the light that's shining in that wavelength. So certain machines that are maybe a little lower quality don't do as good of a job of maintaining that wavelength of light. So it's got to be within 10 nanometers, which is, there are like, that can be there's a huge range of light. Heat changes that. So when people are doing like infrared light, you're usually not getting like a specific benefit related wavelength of light. You're just getting like heat, extra heat. Whereas these machines that we have are the specific wavelengths of light. The ones that we have are 660, 810, and 980. And so those are 3 different wavelengths of light. 2 of them are red, 1 is near infrared. And the machines that we have 2 different types of machines. One is a whole body machine. So you just lay in there. That's more of an LED light. So it's not a laser. It's not going to like burn you, right? Some lasers can cut through metal, right? But the whole body lights are LED. Okay. We do have lasers, which are for specific applications. So people come in after a car accident. They have a shoulder issue, a hand issue, a hip issue. So we can target that specifically with the laser, but the whole body red light could get all of it all in one go. And yeah, we can increase what's called the pulse, which is part of the signal, which is like how many times it's flashing per second. We can do 2 pulses per second up to 5,000 pulses per second. And then the power, the amount of actual energy that's going into the laser can be changed, but that cannot be changed in an LED light bed. So you get, different benefits, similar, like the benefits are the same: pain relief, energy, weight loss, but the power and the target is what's really different.
Cool. And so it sounds like you have a pretty wide range of customers, from, people who are in pain or not in good shape to high performing athletes that are just trying to get better. I guess if you want to just expound a bit on like how it's able to help people that are on such opposite sides of a spectrum of health and wellness.
So, if I could take an overall look at that, like we called ourselves Universal Healing and Wellness. Right. And that's because the technology has such a broad variety of benefits for people. And we have more than just one technology. It's more than just the red light. We also have oxygen therapy, PEMF therapy, compression, vibration. So a lot of different things, and we've put it together in combinations or protocols. So we can use multiple different technologies. But the reason it benefits so many people is because it gets to the root of the issues. The root are inflammation, our circulatory system, our stress, right, emotional, and our thinking as well, our air and oxygen consumption. So red light therapy not only reduces inflammation, but when applied to nerves, it can block the nerve signal so you don't get pain. And it increases the energy used by the mitochondria. So you have better performance in a workout, and your body's using more fat. You have more mental energy as well. So that can help anybody, right? Anybody who needs that, whether you're an athlete or whether you're in pain, suffering from an injury that happened decades ago, or like I had a really bad knee injury last year, and I didn't go straight to the hospital, right? We were in the middle of COVID, so nobody wanted to go to the hospital. Mm-hmm. But I went straight to the office, and even though I couldn't walk on this leg, I jumped up over to the elevator, took the elevator up to the office, and started immediately putting the technologies on my knee, which led to a recovery. Now it's been a year, but I'm 20 pounds away from my max lifts when I was training 4 to 6 hours a day, and now I'm like training maybe 6 hours a week.
Wow.
So yeah, I forgot the question. I went into a bit of a tangent.
No, I love that. Is there any benefit for, like, obviously you have the high performing athletes and then the people that are in pain or out of shape that are trying to improve? What about just like, you know, your standard person in decent shape isn't really working towards anything performance wise? Is there any benefit from any of these technologies for them?
That's another good question. So 2 things I want to say to that is that we help people achieve their ultimate level of wellness and performance. So what that means for someone who is not necessarily a high performing athlete, mm-hmm. and maybe they don't have a whole lot of pain, are they at the level that they want to be at? Whether that means how they feel during the day, or if maybe, you know, we want to say like a normal everyday person, but like, what does that really mean?
Right.
You know, I think everybody has some kind of way that they want to improve on their wellness or their performance.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether it's a business owner, you know, we have a lot of people who are realtors or CEOs. They just want to have more energy, more focus, a way to get rid of the stress that they carry every day. But I even have a little kid who has asthma and stomach issues. And so he comes in and uses it maybe once or twice a month, comes in with his mom. And, you know, they're healthy. Besides that asthma, she is a friend of mine. She just wants to feel good. She feels happier when she comes in.
Yeah. She's
a healthy person. So, you know, I don't know what normal exactly would mean in this situation, but if you want those benefits, then it can be for you.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, I say normal, but we all have things that maybe we don't want to, but that we could improve on still with our health and wellness.
And you mentioned earlier you give the free session, and I think the free session will help someone experience, like, does it provide an upgrade in my overall wellness and well-being? You know, we might not realize that we're running with the brakes on, right? And a free session gives somebody an actual experience of that. Oh, this is what feeling better feels like. I didn't realize that I was struggling, right?
Yeah, and people always are just blown away by it. Yeah, and I have to say that with a disclaimer, not everybody has the same kind of benefit. But this friend I was just telling you about who brings in her son, when she first came in, she had this really bad elbow pain and caused trigger finger, which made it hard for her to do her work. And by coming in, I told her that she was going to feel better, like her pain was going to go away. But she was the one who told me, like, I'm just feeling so happy. And later told me that her husband tells her to keep doing whatever she's doing because he likes her attitude, her mood. He likes how she is when she's been doing this consistently.
That's cool.
Trigger finger. That sounds fun.
Right? She does like to
she
shoot.
Carry a gun.
Yeah, I was gonna say she likes to shoot, but I don't think she carries it all the time.
Do you find yourself spending more time cleaning your pool than you spend swimming in it? Then you need to get in touch with Flamingo Pools. Flamingo Pools is your go-to swimming pool maintenance and repair company in the East Valley. Whether it's weekly maintenance, repairs, green to cleans, or one-time cleanings, Flamingo Pools is there to take care of you. Here's a few things that makes Flamingo Pools stand out from the crowd. When you first sign up for service, they'll give you a free complimentary inspection of the pool to make sure everything is running smoothly. They'll also email you a service report with a picture attached after every visit so you know when your pool has been cleaned. They also offer a mineral treatment, which will keep your chemical levels down, allowing you to have a healthier bathing experience. At Flamingo Pools, they know that your pool was made to be enjoyed, so let them handle the rest. Check them out at azflamingopools.com or give them a call at 480-422-6013. Mention this podcast and get your first month of weekly maintenance free. That's azflamingopools.com and 480-422-6013.
Jorge, are there any risks, like any long-term side effects? Is there a certain population that has to be concerned about anything using the red light therapy?
The beautiful thing is that there are no negative side effects. The only people who want to be wary of using it, a whole body machine, which is what we offer that free session of, is a pregnant woman, right? She just doesn't, just because of safety and almost no good reason, but we don't want to shine that on the fetus, right? With certain people who have real like photo sensitivity, so light sensitivity, so there are certain diseases like lupus. Don't go in and just do like the max dose of the red light therapy. Start with something really light. But other than that, that's it. Anybody can go in and feel better. Some people don't feel that max benefit right away, and some people do. So there's no reason not to try it, I would say.
We've talked a lot about the red light therapy, and then you briefly mentioned that you have other technologies. Is that kind of the best way to put it, that you guys offer? Maybe first off, talk to us about the process of where you went from, because you kind of left off in the story in your journey from having the fitness studio and then first being introduced to the red light therapy with your mom, and then how that eventually evolved into you deciding to open up a new business and then start to bring in other technologies as well.
Mm-hmm. So it's definitely been an evolution. We started with the red light therapy and compression therapy because, well, all the science showed us that the red light therapy was actually really going to work. Mm-hmm. We had compression because we had felt and experienced the relaxation, the circulation benefits from that. Then we actually met a lady who also was doing red light therapy for a weight loss program. She wasn't teaching people to work out. She wasn't writing any diet plans, just a simple don't eat this food list and a eat this food list, her red light therapy process. And so we started to get some consulting from her, learned a little bit about these other technologies. And when we experienced those other ones, we were like, oh my gosh, this feels so good. So kind of dove into that. And with my dad, he's an engineer. I haven't really mentioned anything about him, but he's the one who likes to do all the research and contrast and compare all the different technologies. So he's the one that really takes the leap on saying, we need to bring this thing in. We need to use this thing for mindset. We need to use this thing for immunity and for the brain. And so it's just been, every few months as business picks up, we get a new machine, we get something new, and it evolves. So, it's been a couple years now, but it's just getting the things that are natural, non-invasive, that have evidence that they work, and that have a wide variety of benefits with no negative side effects.
Mm-hmm. Is the red light therapy regulated? Like it can only be operated in a doctor's office, or can anybody get a machine and open up a business? Like, what are the controls over that? Is the FDA over it? What?
For lasers, yeah, as a business, that has to be in a medical office. People can get lasers for their homes, but the LED is not regulated. LED red lights, it's not regulated. You kind of just got to have the space and got to have the machines, and then you can do it. The machines that we have are medical grade, so they are only featured in medical offices, but they are things that people can get for their homes. And some of these machines are even used for animals. So like they have veterinarian or equine units, which are not medical necessarily, but to be in a business for the ones that we have, yes, must be medical.
And then you mentioned your parents. So are they a part of the business just as much as you are? Are you guys like business partners, or is there like an employee aspect there, or how does that work?
So my mom is a doctor and she has her own clinic, and it's basically she's the one that's invested in all this technology, but she relies on me to operate it. And we have other staff who I've hired to operate the technologies, take people through their sessions. And so it's in her clinic and she can refer her patients to it whenever they need it. But we also, it's the same, but can be separate.
Cool. What's that like working with family, with parents too, especially?
Took some getting used to, it was harder at first, but I think over time, with the intention to get better at communicating, at taking responsibility, and keeping a high level of performance, that we were able to build the trust and build the reliability so that it's doable. My dad's not there every day. My mom's doing her thing on her side of the business. When I tell them we have a need, they listen and they ask questions, and then if it's worth it, we invest in it. And if I'm saying I need help, they show up and they help. So it took a little while for it to get into the flow like it is now, but definitely worth taking this opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
You mentioned when we were talking about sport performance that it's critical for an athlete to have a goal. You mentioned that as one of the risks of CrossFit, that you're just training not for a sport, not for an event, but training is the sport. And you mentioned the importance to have a goal. Applying that to the business, what is the goal of the business? How do you define success in that business? How has that evolved over time since you started it?
So I think that for an entrepreneur, that setting a goal for a business is going to be important to separate your business goals and your life goals, because the business is not your life as much as it's a big part of your life. I recently have come back to the vision, the mission, the why, the values that we are going to uphold. So those things that should be the base, sometimes we kind of start making money and forget about those things, So I think to build a good business that's not just completely running your life, as I've heard it said before, instead of having a business, we end up owning our jobs, to get past that, you've got to have a greater vision, something that you can't just accomplish in a month or 2 months, because then you're setting something too small. And recently I was told too, if your vision can be accomplished by you yourself, it's not big enough, because it's got to involve other people, and it's got to make an impact. And then again, separating that from your own life goals, whether it's family or travel or experiences. So that's, I don't know if I related that much to sport performance, but setting goals is something that you can do at the beginning and then go back and do again and again, I think.
I love what you said about a vision. It's not big enough if you can complete it by yourself. I think there's a couple things we can touch on there, but if you don't mind sharing, I guess, what your vision is specifically with the business, and then how you've been able to involve other people to help you achieve that vision.
So the vision is that we are the go-to place for people to achieve all their health and wellness goals. People come to us for pain relief, for sport performance, for energy, longevity, focus, for mood improvement, and that they choose to do this because they know it's a natural, healthy way without side effects, and that this becomes part of a community, something that, you know, people say, I'm going to UHW, and that we can partner with schools and partner with veterans and hospitals, other places that really need this. And because I do see this technology in the future being part of people's homes and part of their everyday routines. So that's what we are growing. And, you know, I've recently hired a couple employees, and when I didn't know like who to hire, I ended up going to my community and asking them, like, how would you hire somebody to help you out with something like this? Mm-hmm. And just finding that it's people who, you know, getting people who have a common goal, sharing your vision with them, and seeing if they want to be a partner in the journey. So I don't know, like, what do you have anything more specific on?
No, I like what you said. I think it's important what you mentioned, to find people that share your vision as well and that align with your vision and goals. Is it easy for you to, I guess, trust other people? Because a lot of people struggle with, you know, allowing other people to be part of their vision and goals and helping them to achieve it, and they feel like they either have to do it by themselves for one reason or another. Is that something that you struggle with at all, or are you naturally, you know, able to be a team player and allow other people to, you know, benefit you as much as you benefit from them?
That's a good question. I want to say I try to be a really good team player. I've kind of studied leadership for a few years now, and, you know, there's a big difference between reading it and actually doing it. But, you know, one of the main parts of your question is how, you know, can you trust people? Do you trust people enough to kind of let them do it? And I think there's got to be, I learned a lot from Jocko Willink, you know, in leadership. And I say that there's got to be some parts where you show them, like, you lead by example. You know, don't make someone else take the trash out if you've never taken the trash out, you know. So do the small things, set those standards, and once you get to the point where their questions don't really need to be answered by you, and you have enough other things to take care of yourself, and they've seen you set that example, you can let them go. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, you know, they'll ask me questions and I'll be like, I trust you. You got this. Mm-hmm. And telling them, you know, knowing what I need them to really be able to do, and making that clear to them, and telling them what I need to be able to do while they're doing that. Yeah. You know, so I think expectations and trust is something that you just start building from the beginning, and then you can really let it go.
Yeah. You also mentioned being careful that you don't go from from owning a business to owning a job. What are some of the things that you do to make sure that you keep that boundary and maintain your position as a business owner instead of someone that's just locked in a job that they own now?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think hiring other people is a huge part of that. Another big part is knowing your boundaries, you know, knowing like when I have to stop working, knowing when I can delegate something, and when I need to delegate something, when I need to stop procrastinating about something. And also, it comes back to the vision, right? Like I said before, setting the business goals and your business vision aside from your personal goals and your personal vision. And if you have a family, I think involving them in it. And another really, really, really big part is taking time to be alone and be in solitude without anybody asking you for anything. So like I do that at 4 a.m. My sessions that I do for the technology, I only do at like 4 or 5:30 in the morning. Wow. Before anybody else is talking to me about it. So, and that helps me with my vision and getting help, because, you know, it's not that you need, I'll put it this way. I could not have accomplished all the major things in my life without help from my family, my friends, and community. So, you know, knowing that you do need help, but then being able to take that time alone.
Yeah. No, you bring up two examples of, you know, you mentioned Jocko Willink, and I love his work. I love the books that he's written with Leif Babin, Extreme Ownership, one of the best books ever. They also wrote another book, The Dichotomy of Leadership. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that work, but, you know, you mentioned taking out the trash. There's a dichotomy there, because if you're taking out the trash, you're not doing the things that only you can do, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to recognize that, one, I do need to be an example. I do need to be willing to do things I'm asking other people to do, but I also have to be conscious and intentional and not be doing those things, not be caught up in those things so much that I don't have time to do the things that only I can do, and the things that I'm passionate about, the things as the business leader and the business owner that I can be the best impact on the business doing. And so having that level of consciousness is critical, so that you can be intentional in what you do.
100%. Yeah. Hiring somebody, you know, if you hire somebody and then you keep doing the work that they're supposed to be doing, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, right? But that's why, like I was saying, is setting the example and then letting them jump in. Yep. Yeah, Jocko has a lot of really good books. I think Dichotomy of Leadership is a great one, because I have found that there's a dichotomy in everything. Like, even, I would say, even in the red light therapy. People, like, I love the technology, but if I do the technology and never go outside into the sun, then I'm not getting the other half of what light therapy really is, you know? And I think the same goes for comfort and discomfort, you know, whether it's in setting your goals and setting something, a vision larger than what you can accomplish alone. Mm-hmm. But then being able to say, like, just today, I'm only going to do this one thing, you know? So yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the dichotomy.
Yeah, I think as a business owner, sometimes you can, I don't know, maybe feel guilty that you're telling your employees to do all these things that you're not going to do. And so it's finding that balance. And that's why I loved what you said about, you know, sharing your vision with your people and finding people that align with that vision and have a same end goal, and understanding, you know, where they fit in with that vision. And it doesn't mean that you're not willing to do those things and you would do them if you had to, but understanding, you know, that's where they are going to succeed at. And if you're focused on those things, then the business itself isn't going to succeed. And so if you find people that share your vision and understand where they fit in and where you fit in the vision, then I think it just makes a much more successful end product.
Yeah. And you've empowered them. You've told them what needs to be done. They've come to you, well, you know, what about this? What about that? I'll let you figure that out. I've heard you say that, you know, that you empower them to figure out the how. You know, you'll show them one way, but that doesn't have to be the way. And they can be empowered to have that autonomy.
Yeah.
It's been fun, because I wasn't like that. You know, when I first started the fitness studio, I was still doing everything. Yeah. And
including the website.
Man, it was so pointless, like a website. So now I'm actually, like, funny enough, I'm hiring somebody to make a new website for us. And I guess knowing the positions of, like, there's a really, really good book called The E-Myth Revisited.
Yeah, I love that book.
And even a couple other follow-up books that he made to that. That's Michael E. Gerber, but he made the most successful small business in the world. And that one's cool because it's just a bunch of principles that it's more like philosophy. And for some reason, for me, it's easy to read philosophy and hard to like actually do business, organizational stuff. But that's important, knowing the positions of the organizations and the duties and roles that they play.
For sure. And then even starting off, you might be the one doing all those positions, but just understanding, when you're taking one hat off, putting another one on. So when it is time to hire, you kind of understand where you can plug people in when you start to grow. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, Jorge, we've taken up a lot of your time today, and I know you got a busy rest of your day, so we don't want to take up too much time. Before we get closing off, though, if there's anything we missed, any last piece of advice that you wouldn't mind sharing with our audience?
I want to help people get back to being present in the moment and to trusting their bodies to do the healing and do the performance that they wish for, that they desire, just by trusting it and by being in the moment. So it's not too hard, and I hope that if you come see us, we give you that space to be in that moment and to trust your body to do that.
Awesome. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, the body's amazing. It's an incredible instrument.
Yeah, the body and the spirit, I would say.
Yeah, the body without the spirit is just a meat suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Before we officially close up here, we have a quick game that we're gonna play with you. So how it's going to work is we have a list of 20 questions that we're going to ask you, and you have a minute to answer as many of those questions as possible.
Okay.
So we'll see how you square up against other guests we've had on the show. You want to start us off in 3, 2, 1.
Your dream vacation.
Hawaii.
First thing you'd buy if you won $1 million.
A house.
Your favorite hobby.
Working out.
If there was an Olympic competition for everyday activities, what activity would you have a good chance at winning a medal in?
Handstand walks.
A song you've been jamming to lately?
Black as Night by Nako and Medicine for the People.
If you lived to be 100, would you rather have the mind or the body of your prime self?
Body.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Salted caramel.
Favorite fictional character?
Goku.
Favorite smell?
Roses.
What's your nickname?
George or Jorgito.
Pet peeve?
I don't really have many. I don't know. Can I skip that one?
Yeah. Favorite restaurant?
Oof.
Oh, there's our time, but we always like to hear this one for suggestions, so we'll let you answer it anyways.
Favorite restaurant? I'll tell you my favorite place to get a breakfast burrito is Los Favoritos.
Yeah.
Or Habaneros, which is in Scottsdale. So I'll give you those two.
Okay, love it. Jorge, let our listeners know where they can find out more about you and the business. They want to maybe come in and check you guys out.
Yeah, so on Facebook and Instagram, you can find this. The handle is at Universal Healing and Wellness. The word and not the sign.
Cool.
And on our website, www.healabc.com, heal as in healing, HEAL, abc.com, which will be revamped soon, but if you want to see the old school website we got, then check that out. And I don't know if we mentioned yet the free session.
I was just going to bring up, I know you have a special offer for our listeners, so if you want to just quickly touch on that too.
Yeah, it's definitely for anybody in Arizona or who's coming in for a little while. Come check out a free session of whole body red light therapy. 12 minutes to just sit down, lay down, enjoy, get the benefits. It's totally free. You can see a link on our social media. And if you buy a package, just mention that you heard this podcast and we'll give you a 10% off on any first purchase that you make.
It's fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, no.
It's a great deal.
Free session. Might as well try it out and see how it works for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Jorge. Love talking to you today. Love learning about you and the business, and appreciate you taking time out of your day for coming on.
Thanks, man. It was fun. Cool.
We'll catch you all next week. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. Just a few things before we go. First off, if you or someone you know is an entrepreneur in the East Valley, we'd love to have you on the show. Please get in touch with us by emailing us at localhustlerspodcast@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at localhustlerspodcast. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn for the latest news and updates. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please take a few seconds to rate and review and hit that subscribe button. It lets us know how we're doing, it helps us grow so we can reach more locals, entrepreneurs, and help small businesses grow. Thanks, guys.